Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Crafty Concepts with Erin. I have a stash busting scrapbook layout for you today. This is a retired collection from close to my heart, and it's a travel themed kit called Let's Go Anywhere. I think these beautiful colors are going to be perfect to document the eagles here. We were in Alaska and my friend Bonnie actually took these photos. Hers turned out better than mine, so I'm putting her photos in the album. Isn't that amazing? We were out on the docks waiting for a boat to take us out on Glacier Bay. Now, this is Glacier Bay Lodge, and it ended up being a single page layout. So I thought these eagles, they're going to make a great single page layout. And these were actually taken chronologically, so it kind of makes sense that they sit together or next to each other in the album anyway. My plan is to make them look cohesive so they're still very pleasing side by side, even though they're not the same story. I chose mink cardstock for my base because that's what I used on the left-hand side of the layout. And then I have 3 different pattern papers in colors that are going to carry over to the right-hand side. Now, just for fun, I went through all my ocean-themed kits. This is an old collection called Regatta that had the same blue tones. I do love this glacier, but I think we'll skip that one for now. We could possibly go with this pattern paper here. Let's just go with these for now and see what we can come up with. This little anchor paper here is 10.5 by 9.5. I do have an inspiration layout I'm following, and it's actually Bonnie's layout. She's already scrapbooked these photos, and it turned out fantastic. So thanks for making my life easier, Bonnie. She had her photos clustered about like that. And I want to bring in this pattern paper because if you look at the Glacier Bay Lodge pattern paper, it's the predominant one you see. So I thought it would be good to carry this over for consistency. And again, I want them to look like they kind of go together. So I am using the measurement marks on my Versamat to find center. We're going to cut up about 1 inch and then in from each corner. On this particular day, we had arranged to go out on a boat tour, quite a big boat with a lot of people, to go into Glacier Bay, see the glacier, and hopefully spot some wildlife. We were having breakfast at the lodge, and we got the call that they canceled the tour because of engine troubles or something of that nature. I'm going to ink up the edges with black ink, and I'm showing you that I did remove any of the pattern paper that was hidden. I will also remove the green pattern once I figure out exactly where I want this. I'll know where to cut and remove that is hidden behind here. Every time I create a single page layout, the question does come up. How do you work those into your album? And I will be very honest, for a long time, I was strictly a double page scrapbooker. They had to be double pages, and unless it was like a cover page or the very last page, they had to be double pages that matched, right? But what was happening is I had a lot of random photos that were important to me where there's maybe only 1 or 2 photos, and it didn't make sense to make that a double page layout. So I started scrapbooking a lot more single page layouts as well. I do put them in my album chronologically as best as I can, but I will use those single page layouts to kind of fill in the gaps and move them around. Now, this is what I'm going to use for my title. This is called The Secret Garden, and this is a close to my heart branded stamp, but it was released by Stampin' Up! If it's still available, I will, of course, leave this listed in the description box below, along with everything else that I can link to. I like to list my stash busting supplies too, just in case you have those in your collection. I am going to do some layered stamping, and last time I used this for a title element, I think I did the same thing, but it's just such a fun way to make these just more interesting. So I'm picking a Spotlight on Nature circle die, and what we're going to do is ink this up in black for our base layer. Back to my albums, I will use those single page layouts and move them around and kind of fill in the gaps and put pages that look a little bit more pleasing to the eye next to each other. So they may be different topics and different subjects, but that's okay. I'm totally okay with that. And I just messed up my stamping. That is bumped out of the corner and was all blurry. So we're going to flip that over and try again. I actually find it very rare that I end up with two pages next to each other that just look terrible. It just doesn't, I think it's happened maybe a few times. And that's when I'll just move them around and find one that looks better. Still trying to keep them into chronological order as best as I can. So you can see I cut that out with the circle die, and then I stamped it again and cut out just the banner. So I'm going to add that over the top for that layered look. Now this is Adventure Badges, another stamp set from my stash, one of my favorites. And it's got this cool compass here. It says, "You will never know until you go. Adventure awaits." I'm going to use my Stampin' Up! Circle punch here to back this on some sapphire cardstock so that just kind of stands out a little bit better. This is my Forever Forest set, and I chose this one. I've got a ton of pine tree stamps, but I thought I would go with this one because I use this same exact set on the Glacier Bay left-hand page. So that's another way to tie them in and kind of make them look cohesive, is to use the same embellishments. So I already have a bunch of these stamped and cut, and there's also the little coordinating die cuts. I'm just going to make a little configuration, but let's try these bigger trees and see how these might look instead. It's kind of nice to have the different sizes. You have the trio of trees, which you could cut into individual, and then you have a row of smaller trees, and then the little pencil pine die cut trees. I really do enjoy mixing both the stamped images with the die cut images. I think you get different textures and different looks, and they work together to create this little cluster up there. So let's go ahead and add some trees. We need something around the title, so we could put those there. I also kind of want something over on the left-hand side, maybe this tree. We've got lots of different things that we can try here, and maybe. They're floating, so we would need to ground those to the layout. But I also have this stamp set here, and it's got this fantastic eagle. This is Bonnie's stamp. She's here crafting with me. So not only am I, taking her layout ideas, but I'm using her stamps. That's the fun of crafting with friends, right? For some reason, I didn't get this stamp set, and I'm so glad that she brought it. I still want some greenery around the title. It needs a little more fullness there. So I went through my stash and I found some stickers from the Change of Scenery collection. There's a fern and just some foliage, and I thought we could use that. And I am already liking that. I think that that is filling in that space nicely, kind of adding that organic movement to that area. We've got a couple different stickers to choose from. I think I liked the fern. Let's go back to the fern. And there were ferns all over Alaska, so that works for me. Now we have this little journaling block here. We could use this over here with the eagles. And I don't have a ton to say about this particular moment. We were just watching some eagles, so I think that's going to be a big enough journaling spot there. I always enjoy adding words. I call them word sentiment strips. This says wanderlust, so we could tuck this in somewhere, but I also have an idea. I am looking at the color in the eagle's beak. That's not good. Those are too bright yellow. I have a whole bunch of acrylic shapes, and I'm doing my best to be intentional about using these. So there are some kind of darker orangey yellow. It's Sundance, I believe, is the color. So I'm pulling out all of the shapes in that particular color. We've got these little X's, some arrows, just little shapes here. And I think let's add a couple of these to the left-hand side here. I think this is cool. It's kind of a fun little detail. This color is not on the left-hand side, and you hear me all the time when I'm creating double-page layouts. Whatever you do to one side, you need to do to the other, right? So you need to carry over colors and textures and repeat those elements. In this case, I'm not doing that because I am looking at them as two separate layouts that it's okay if they vary slightly. So this is Sundance. I'm going to grab my label die here and then use this to make that word sentiment pop off the background a little bit more. So I felt like it was kind of lost up there by itself. And then plus this brings in a pop of that Sundance color to complement those little embellishments we added. And I think that just really made a huge difference by itself there. So afterwards, I do end up coloring my eagle, which you'll see in the still shots over on Facebook, Instagram, or Pinterest. And if you are enjoying this video, I would love it if you would take a moment to just hit that thumbs up button. Let's bring these back in together. Every time I get another layout done for my Alaska album, it just makes me so excited because I am making a lot of progress. But you can see how these are definitely different, but they still look nice together in the album. If you are looking for more outdoor scrapbook layout inspiration to document your fun adventures, definitely check out these videos right here. Thank you so much for stopping by and spending some time with me today, and I'll see you very soon here on YouTube.